Hey now, what's going on, you guys? It's going to be really short and pithy. As you guys know that I put up a poll, which I believe we got 85 votes on out of almost 5,000 subscribers and about 150 views on the announcement video. Come on, guys, really? Seriously? This was really important. Anyways, won't be doing this again. Real quick, I want to show you the results of the poll. This was 4 days running, 85 votes. And what I think you'll see is not a surprise to me, and it shouldn't be a surprise to you guys either. So, and I'm going to talk briefly about what this video is actually about. What's the most important TX bandwidth to have in your arsenal, like a good killer TX profile? Technically, there's 3 that I consider vitally important. Then everything else is fluff. All right, let's get over to the other screen. We'll walk through this. Here we go. We've got 2 kilohertz. What bandwidth closest to do you normally listen at on your HF transceiver? 7% said 2 kilohertz. 40% said 2.8. 40% said 3. 6% said 3.6. And 7% said above 3.6. Above 3.6 is most likely guys running 4 kilohertz bandwidth or greater. In other words, ESSB Voodoo audio, right? 80% of people in this poll, which I think is accurate because I listen. I noticed how wide people are transmitting. The vast majority of people are transmitting at about 2.8 to 3 kilohertz wide. The gross, and I'm talking gross majority, maybe 1 in every 20 are wider than that. Maybe it's even more than that. I don't know. So 80%. So that tells me now, you know what they say about assumptions? They're the mother of all ups. So my assumption is that if they're listening at 2.8 to 3 kilohertz, they're transmitting at 2.8 to 3 kilohertz. So here's where I'm going with this. How important is having a great 3 kilohertz TX profile? Well, there you go. 80% of people are listening at 3 kilohertz. What the heck good does it do you to be running 4 kilohertz wide if people are listening at 3 kilohertz? I know. If you're in a round table and you're in a group with people running 4 kilohertz, great. Do it to it. However, if you're just generally cruising through the band, don't key up on a 3 kilohertz round table running 4 kilohertz wide. Nobody's listening at 4 kilohertz. Seriously? See, there's like some Captain Obvious things here. So there's 3 things that I wanted to share with you how I approach this. Because I've changed my thinking. I put the cart before the horse when I started working on all this audio garbage, right? I needed an anon because I can run 4 kilohertz wide. Well, that's fine if you want to work 7% of the ham radio population, right? Think about this. You buy an anon to run 4 kilohertz wide, and in reality, 93% of the rest of the ham radio population is not going to appreciate it. See my point? It's pretty interesting, ain't it? See, there was a method to the madness. That's why I said this was important, you bunch of goons. So, 3 things. I have a 3 kilohertz DX profile, which is set up for 140 hertz to 3 kilohertz. Yeah. It's thin. It's not brittle, but there's no roaring bottom end in there at all. Great for contesting, great for breaking pileups, busting pileups, great for overall general DX. Okay, then the second profile I have is what's called a 3 kilohertz low frequency roll-off. And that has a 100 hertz roll-off on it. So everything beneath 100 hertz is rolled off. Why, you ask? Here's the reason why. people listening on conventional transceivers, let's say everything from an old Superhet to an ICOM, current model ICOM Yaesu, they listen at 100 hertz to 3 kilohertz. Will they hear audio beneath that? I know the ICOM does. Absolutely. I've looked at it on a spectrum analyzer. It will hear audio below 100 hertz, but take that out of the equation, right? Having a profile that's set up at 100 to, let's say, 2.8 or 2.9 like the ICOM can do, or if you're on an SDR, 100 to 3, if you want to run 3, go for it. I do. That's what I run. I round it to the next full number. So why am I going to set up a profile on a Sun or an Anon at 2.9 when I can just set it to 3 and make it simple? Right? That's kind of how I approach it. So that's the second one, 100 hertz to 3 kilohertz. That's a nice general rag chew, even DX profile if you're sitting there rag chewing with someone and they have really nice audio, right? It's not the beer can audio. So nice all-around profile, because to be honest with you, you run audio below 100 hertz, not a lot of people are going to hear it. It depends on the transceiver and what they're listening on, right? Even if they're listening, 80% of them at 3K. Common sense. So now let's jump to the big dog. I have a profile, it's called a 3K full. That covers, I think, 40 hertz? 40 hertz or 50 hertz. I can't remember which. I'd have to go in and look. That's splitting hairs. It doesn't really make a difference when you get down that low. To 3 kilohertz. So let's say 40 to 3. The reason why I do that is because a lot of guys are listening on SDRs, but they're running 3 kilohertz. So an SDR has the capability to listen well below 100 hertz. Here's the catch with the 3K LFRO and the 3K full. Make sure you have enough energy in the top end. You should see easily 80% of the energy in the top end that you have in the bottom end. So if you look on the spectrum and you see your signal and it comes up on the spectrum when you talk, let's say you're on lower sideband and the low end is up here on your T's and Sierras and all of the articulation part of the audio, if that isn't at least up here, don't use it. I'm just telling you, I struggle with people all the time. I actually have a 140 hertz roll off on the receive side on the software because half the time I can't understand what they're saying. They got so much bottom end, they got no top end. So remember that. Get the energy in the top end. That's all I got, guys. That's the results of the poll. We'll see y'all later. 7-3.